evening. Well, another smashing season is over in the PVL, so let's put a ribbon on the All Filipino Conference. Hello, I'm Paulo Del Rosario.
And I'm Boom Gonzalez. Let's start celebrating the best players of the conference, the PVL Premier Team.
The leaders of the pack, the best of the best. Now, whatever name you want to call them, they are the PVL Premier Team, and they will always be the elite individual players of the conference. Now, joining us to take a look at the league leaders is the Flores, who is always giving these greats their flowers. PVL analyst Neil Flores. Neil, I did not write that. I just need to emphasize it. Thank you very much for being here again. Let's take a look at this list first and your initial thoughts. I think it's safe to say there are very few surprises, if any. All of these players just shine throughout the entire conference.
Let's mention all of them first.
Yeah.
And then you pick who you want to talk about. Our best setter, Jel Cayuna. Best outside spiker, A. Laure. Best outside spiker number 2, Gemma Galanza. 2 best middle blockers, Panning Spanaga, whom we had last night.
Yes, we did.
Ria Meneses. Best opposite spiker, Michelle Gumabao. And of course, nabanggit na ba natin? Tang Ponce, best libero. And the MVP, CC Rondino. Where do you want to start, Neil?
Let's talk about the best setter first because this was a hotly contested award.
Why was it hotly?
Why? Bakit
really?
I mean, just to clarify everything, the awards were 100% stats-based.
Yeah.
So we counted the statistical points in their respective skill categories, not just in the setting.
Right.
So Jel Cayuna was number 4 in the setting, but she was also top 10 in the other categories.
Yeah.
So that really propelled her to that Best Setter Award. That was the third Best Setter Award for Jel Cayuna, all dun sa squad ng Signal HD Spikers. And I would say that she really also deserved that award. She helped Signal finish bronze again.
Yeah.
And it was a great year for Jel.
And by the time you get the third already, I think you're kind of vindicated that you're one of the elite already
Yeah.
in the PVL, right? So, well-deserved. Jel Cayuna has been consistent under Coach Shaq de los Santos.
Yeah, now I want to talk about si Pangs because every time we mentioned her award last night, she ended up in tears.
Yes.
Which was always a
Very
great thing.
emotional.
Very emotional. But then, first since 2019, first individual middle blocker award for her since 2019. Just, you could see the emotion, just how big was it for her to win it, considering that she did fill in the space of set.
Yeah, I understand her emotions coming from a player standpoint because when you watched game number 2 or when you rewatch it, pinaghirapan talaga ng Creamline yon.
Yeah.
Choco pulled out all the stops. They really pushed Creamline to their limit and they almost got that game. But itong si Pangs Panaga, this is her 5th Best Middle Blocker Award.
Yun ang matindi dyan eh.
Yes.
It's not her first.
Yeah.
It is her 5th. And now overshadow sometimes yung performance ni Pangs because of the loaded wings of Creamline. But the contributions are always vital. And she would always come up as a runner-up dun sa POG Honors.
Correct.
It's very difficult for us to choose player of the game. Kung pwede lang dalawa, isa ng outside, isa ng middle for Creamline, we would have done it.
And you know, as of late, the rise also of Seth Domingo has kind of, you know, obviously overshadowed.
Yeah.
Also, Pangs Panaga steady, but she was 11 points in the first game, 7 points in the second game. Very, very crucial, and we were extremely happy to have her here last night. We're also extremely happy for Tang Ponce, who has been,
Yes.
you know, in the shadows of Denden Lazaro Revilla for a long, long time. And the PVL and sports in general, Neil, is about opportunity. She got her opportunity because of a banged-up Denden Lazaro Revilla, and look at what she did with it.
She really got her spotlight this conference. I would say that she is my favorite player of the season
How can you
because
not?
of
Really? Yeah.
all of the efforts that she put into training. And naririnig ko nga kila Coach Jessie that she is a different player ngayon, lalo na nung nabigyan siya ng opportunity. And Tang, this is just her first out of the many best liberos na makukuha pa niya.
Yeah, and of course, with Tang, we are assuming that more will come, obviously. It's going to be a tough competition every single conference.
That's a good point, Pao, because the way she played that's no fluke. No,
Not at
hindi
all.
yan yung mga pang one-time performance lang. You know that she's going to get better.
100%. Now, someone that we could probably expect more of very soon is the MVP, CC Rondina. Just her second conference in the PVL. And already with that MVP award, I think we're running out of superlatives for CC.
Number 2 in scoring, number 3 in attacking, number 3 in receiving. It was really an all-around performance for CC Rondina. You can see how big of an impact she was dito sa team ng Choco Mucho. Finished 7th in her first conference with the Flying Titans, but in the second, straight to the finals. That was a big jump.
Yeah.
And we would see some teams from 7th place aangit into 5th, 4th, and then the podium finish. But for CC Rondina, the numbers that she has put up for Choco Mucho was spectacular,
Right.
to say the least.
And then when you put into context, Paolo mentioned, and everybody knows already, that's only her second conference. You put it into the context that she was absent
Yes.
from indoor volleyball for a long time. Yung one conference adjustment, matindi na yun eh. Pero even the last conference, she was already explosive.
Yeah.
And to win the MVP on the second conference is just amazing. And there's more to come. And you know, you and I, we love watching her live. And we have a time to talk about another person. So
Yep.
let's talk about another person who also is playing in only her second conference. We often mention this, Neil, that we tend to forget. Ea Laure is also a rookie. And she is also taking over the reins of her team.
Yeah, I do agree. In her first conference, we saw yung mga pagkakamali niya as a very young player for Cherry Tigo. But here in the second conference, she was able to adjust. She was able to really show nerves of ice, lalo na sa tightly contested ball games.
Yes.
Yeah.
They were the streak busters. It's really fitting for Ea Daslea to actually bag PVL award because she is the hottest recruit in her batch.
Well, definitely ice in her veins, but of course, we have a lot more to talk about in terms of the list, Boom.
Yes, ice in her veins and fire in her eyes kasi diba, they all say that Ea's got that look.
Yeah.
All right, so after the break, we've got more PVL as Neil lists down his own special awards for the conference. So umangal kayo kung gusto niyo. Kay Neil. Stay tuned. You're watching the game. Okay, welcome back to the game. We're halfway through our wrap-up of the 2023 PVL All Filipino Cup, and we're still joined by volleyball analyst Neil Flores, and he's got the unofficial awards. So, eto, bago, how did you come up with the awards?
Hindi to stats-based.
Hindi to stats-based.
It's not stats-based. It's based on their moments on the floor.
Okay, I like this.
Walang
Okay.
numbers to.
Okay,
Okay.
I'll mention, we will
Clear.
mention the player, you mention the award, and explain why. So
Okay,
let's
okay.
start with Mitch Gumabao.
Okay, so Michelle Gumabo, I gave her the Trump Card Award.
Okay.
Because with the emergence of Tots Carlos, she really came off the bench for most of the time in some of the conferences. Pero nagulat tayong lahat. At this conference, she was a starter. And come the semifinals, she went back to her original role as a player who came off the bench. But in those crucial junctures of that final set, she really had a couple of points there that set Creamline to victory. Kaya I would say that she was the secret weapon of Creamline.
What I liked about her game, as of late, having covered her for the past few months in this span, it feels like she's taking up so many different roles at different times, and yet always productive no matter what role she got into.
Always productive and always efficient.
Exactly.
Remember, Neil, we always talk about her efficiency. Isa lang yung gagawin niya, pero isang tama.
That's correct.
Yeah. So
Okay.
next one, we have Vanny Gandler.
Oh, wow.
Okay, this is the Rookie of the Year award.
Oh, naman.
Okay,
For
yeah,
Danny Gandler.
Why don't we have a
Yeah,
Rookie of the Year award, right?
Maybe we can
Why
actually
not?
recommend that to the organizers of the
right.
PVL. But Vanny Gandler back-to-back
Yeah.
podium finishes for the Signal HD Spikers. And we saw some rookies struggle a bit in their first conferences. But si Vanny really found her home dito sa Signal HD. It looks like she really has that wonderful connection with Jel Cayuna. She's always in the, not always, but most of the time in the 20-point category. And ito yung squad na may Ces Molina. Ito yung squad na may Riri Meneses
At
and
nagkaroon pa
Jovelyn
ng Rachel
Gonzaga.
Dakis
Yeah.
yung
Yeah.
last conference.
So, for you to be able to hold yourself accountable in your squad and to help them with the numbers that you put up, that's a very big feat for Vanny Gandler.
Two things I'm thinking about when I think about the Rookie of the Year award. One is, we already saw glimpses, di ba, ng
Yeah.
invitational. But the leap she made is tremendous from one conference to another. The other one is, when you mention all of the hot rookies that came in this year, you would not pick, and this is no disrespect to her,
Yeah.
but the superstars that came in this year, di ba, yung mga Faithness Fellows, yung mga AL,
Yeah.
you know, Vanny was the one that nangibabaw in terms of that award that you gave out. So, props to her. Just the personal work, I'm sure, that she put on.
Yeah, and I just want to end it with a quote here that she actually gave. She says, and I quote, "It is my first year here and barely halfway to what I can do." Future MVP, Neil?
Definitely.
Yeah. And
Can bet
she's
on
gonna
it.
be a finisher too.
Yeah.
Nakikita natin yung finishing capabilities niya, which leads us to the next award.
Speaking of finishing,
The best of the ever right now.
this
really.
is the most predictable one. Eliza Valdez.
The Clutch Queen
There you
Award.
go.
Diba? Para we say that 100 times every time we
Yeah.
cover the Creamline games.
And 100 times you're correct.
And
Yeah.
we are correct. Most of the time in game 2 of the final, she really struggled.
Yeah.
I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah.
But come the 5th set, she scored 4 or 5 points. And we know that Eliza will always finish for the Creamline Cool Smashers. Kahit na hindi maganda yung laruin niya in the first few sets, come the 5th, you can bet that Coach Sherwin will call on jersey number 2.
Right. You know, and we said this on the air a couple of times, Neil. With Eliza now, it's not how many, it's when.
when.
And boy, you know, that stage that she was on
Yeah.
the last game, yun na yun yung win.
Last 2 points of to win that championship, and
5 in the
five in the last set. And she was getting blocked over and over again, and she still pounded it over and over.
Right.
It was insane to see.
Wonderful, wonderful.
All right.
Next name.
All right, the next name, Maddie
Maddie.
Matayag.
Comeback queen.
Yeah.
And
Wonderful.
finals MVP pag nanalo ang
If
Cross.
they won.
If they won.
Yeah, remember
Yeah.
we
If they
talked
won,
about
yeah.
this.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
you're
yeah.
I
right.
was very sure that she was gonna bag that award if
No
they won
question, no
game
question.
2 and game number 3. But Maddie has come a long way. It's very inspiring to see injuries. I mean, yung ACL injuries from our athletes, and then they come back and then they play even better.
Yeah.
And yun yung sinasabi na sometimes the players who suffer from ACLs mas lumalakas pa after rehab.
Some of
And,
them, correct,
She transformed into her peak. Lalo na kung naalala nyo pa yung mga performance niya during college.
Of course.
Yeah.
Parang bumalik siya dun eh. And she was really the top player for me sa Chocomucho ng final series.
Right, right. Other than Cici Rondina, obviously she. And Pao, remember we had her and Dante Alinsunurin after the Vietnam stint, and we already sensed the confidence when we asked her, "Are you over the injury?" And she says, "It's gone."
Yeah.
To her, it's a memory now. Mentally, nothing. She's ready to go this conference. Remember, she said, and look at what she did.
Yeah, you know, the mental part of it, I think, is what's most impressive. Because, you know, you can always get their body right, but mentally, and doing the things that got you injured in the first place, syempre, getting over that's difficult.
So happy for her.
And this one, I want to name the award, and I want you to name the player, because this honestly was such a nice, a beautiful thing to watch throughout the conference. Most Improved Award.
I gave that to Dina Wong, the setter of the Choco Mucho Flying Titans. You can see how paano siya nag-pivot from that 7th place, multiple finishes, to this run to the finals. And yung polished connection niya with each of her attackers, I think they worked extra during the off-season. During the tournament itself, ang daming adjustments na ginawa ni Coach Dante. And sometimes she would get temperamental in their games. But now, I guess, namamanage niya kahit papano.
I like that you mentioned that temperamental thing, because that has been, you know, what has been talked about. But I think that's also the effect of Dante Alinsunurin on her. Don't you think so? And their coaching staff.
She's very calm this season compared to the other season. She doesn't get rattled. And I guess that is the confidence of Coach Dante, na bibigyan niya ng allowance yung player na magkamali, and bibigyan niya rin ng opportunity na makabawi.
Tsaka yung boses ni Coach Dante and his approach.
It's always uplifting.
Yes.
There's a sense of maturity in that group and in that team. And
Love
I think,
this.
Dina
Love
was
this list.
big part. Yeah, absolutely. It's a great list. Unfortunately, unofficial. Pero official sa atin dito.
We should post this
Yeah,
list.
100%. I'm game for that. And then I'll put Neil's face at the bottom. Para all the comments will be directed to Neil. All right, so we're not done with you yet, because we'll wrap things up with the premier events in the heart of volleyball when we return. Stay tuned. You're watching The Game. Welcome back to The Game. We've talked all things Premier, but of course, we cannot wrap the PVL up without looking at some highlights in the heart of volleyball. That's right, we're going to go back down memory lane, recent memory lane. Still with us to discuss some of the PVL's greatest hits is a volleyball analyst, Neil Flores. Neil, let us, I don't know if we're going to shed tears like some that were shed yesterday. But what we're going to do is we're going to roll some photos here on our big screen and we're going to look at them together. And of course, boom, Neil, both of you were there for majority, if not most of it. So let's roll the first one here. And of course, Coach Tai reuniting with a lot of familiar faces. Such a winning program. The Ateneo program, and yeah, it just warmed so many hearts.
Right, and speak as an Atenean, ex-Atenean yourself, because this is a historic group also.
Yeah, there's so much writing in this picture kasi you see the different generations. Jem was there to start the volleyball program for Ateneo, but then she passed on the baton to Jade Guzman, Dina Wong, and who would have thought that the girls in that picture would be rivals in the pros. So we just see the program of Ateneo in this picture.
Yeah, and then you have Eliza, Ella, and Denen who won, those couple of championships together, which also drew those big crowds. By the way, not in the picture and in that moment that night was Coach Roger Goreyev.
That's true.
Who was also watching with Coach Tai, and they have history with Jem and everybody else. All right, doon naman sa kabila. What a moment for the Choco Mucho Flying. What a conference for them, Neil.
This was the time that they officially punched their ticket into that finals. And nakatalikod man sila, you already feel the joy that they feel in that picture. Coach Dante, very busy coach. Kung may coach of the year, of course, ibibigay natin sa kanya.
Great point.
A great finish
Great point.
in terms of coaching, in the Spikers turf, and also in the PVL.
Right.
So, congratulations to Choco Mucho.
Before that actual picture, in that moment, because I did that game, the knockout match yan eh. Dina Wong was on the floor, in tears, and may challenge pa nga eh. Bago yung point eh. So medyo nabitin ng konti. But what a year also by Signal HD Spikers. Always now a consistent challenger, able to defend their bronze medal.
Yeah, they're very consistent, always, most of the time, in the podium, but I'm sure that they're very hungry for a gold or a silver finish in the next coming conference. I've heard that they will be beefing
Teka.
Ano to?
I've heard that there are good things to come
Yeah!
for the Signal HD.
Really?
So, abangan na lang natin yan.
Wow!
Okay, that's a reminder that whatever Neil says is normally true.
Yeah. Pero what will it take? Okay, to get over that third place now and really battle for number one.
They really need a hot start. Yan yung nagiging problema sa Signal. Parang they would have an up and down type of performance throughout the preliminaries. But if you want to go all the way, you just have to look at the standard of the teams that are up there. Creamline, Choco Mucho, how they performed. Yun yung mga importante for Signal.
Yeah, the consistency has to be there. And let's take a look at this. This was, I believe, during the pre-game, and all the lights were out. 24,000 people at the venue.
Introduction.
Introduction. And for Eliza, remember, she had a lot of not so great history in Araneta. But then that night was special for so many reasons, and I think doing that in front of 24,000 people made everything sweeter.
Yeah, that was her first championship, if I'm not mistaken, in Araneta. So,
Yeah.
nawala na daw yung curse of Araneta.
Yeah.
But this was such a beautiful moment because aside from the actual game, we also have to commend the production team behind the scenes because they were the ones who thought of doing this. And for Eliza,
executing it perfectly.
It was such a warm opening for the PVL that night. And we broke records. I mean, the fans came out. Kung meron pang space, baka nagpapasok pa tayo sa Araneta.
Si Eliza, by the way, is part of the biggest crowd and the second biggest crowd. So she knows a thing or two about those things. And we talked about the beach volleyball of CC Rodina. Of course, half of that story is Bernadette Pons. And also, what an integration for her into Creamline, Neil.
Both of them actually transitioned really well from the sand courts to the Taraflex court. Bernadette Pons and CC Rondina made waves in beach volleyball.
Yes, it did.
But they will always come home to indoor volleyball.
Yeah, you know, that sisterhood, especially since beach and they were partners, they were together all the time. Nalala ko nung pandemya, they were inseparable by necessity. But then even given the choice, they're still there. They're still attached to the hip, and it's just so nice to see in general.
Look at that. This is what we were talking about off the air. when CC is cleared for takeoff, Neil, there are a few who may look better, but it's going to be hard to name.
That is an MVP shot right
Look
there.
at that.
I thought that it was an ad for a shoe brand.
I
Somebody
wanna-
get her as a brand ambassador.
I want to give credit to the photographer, Flores, one of the veteran photographers in Philippine sports in general. I've worked with him a couple of times. He took the photo of Eliza Valdez as well,
Right.
that we just featured.
Right.
And he said that he was experimenting with this shot, and I don't think a lot of people would have expected. And CC Rondina, I think we're just seeing the start of her flying, to be honest, here in the PVL.
It's photo of the year. You can expect CC Rondina to bag more MVP awards in the future. But more than the awards, syempre, ang gusto naman talaga ni CC is to win a gold for Choco Mucho. They've been
that's what
trying
yeah.
since 2019 to get a gold medal. So next year will be another opportunity for the rest of the flying.
And that's what they brought her there for, to get them over
Yeah.
the hump.
So
she
close.
got them over the first hump, which is getting into the finals. So more intense battles. And that picture is the perfect ending to this program too. And you can catch the games and our show live and on demand on the Pilipinas Live app for just 149 pesos a month. Thank you, Neil Flores, for indulging us. And
so
may mga ikikwento siya sa amin off the air.
Off
so
the
we'll
air.
finish the show already.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us. I'm Boom Gonzalez.
Sorry, we're taking our mics off. I'm Paulo Del Rosario, and this has been The Game.